You know when you just accidentally leave your knives in your 5-gallon bucket of mayo? I know, it happens everyone. It happens all the time. Nothing you can do about it, so we designed for it, right? These are some of the prototypes that we have used for the girldm knife. This was actually the first variation. I wanted to do a little bit more on the back edge over here, but as you can see, this definitely got a little too sharp, and that would kind of be dangerous and chip off a lot, and you could easily hit your finger. So on the second iteration, we did end up cutting it back.
What was up? Real prayers. I didn't do it.
There's just gonna be a reel of just me dropping stuff. It's fine, don't worry. All right, so girldm knife, yeah, V1.0 over here. This isn't actually V1.0. V1.0 we actually sent directly to girldm, so it's not here. The hard Damascus was surprisingly not quite as difficult as you might seem to think. Yes, this is Damascus. This is VG10, clad in Damascus, 67 layers, and anyone who's like, it's not Damascus, it's actually, this is pattern weld or whatever. Industry terms say this is Damascus. So if you're still arguing that, oh yeah, it's not because we haven't ever found Damascus, like, dude, Woots is a marketing term from 2,000 years ago. You're literally falling for a marketing scheme 2,000 years ago. I beg you to stop. Anyway, this is not exactly, you know, done with the VG10 completely folded in, otherwise we wouldn't get as good of an edge. So it is actually clad, and that means that these two layers are actually forge welded onto the core of VG10 itself. The outside is actually a Sus 420. No one really talks about that steel too much because it is primarily just a high nickel steel that is very stain resistant in order to provide the kind of patterning. How Damascus patterning is done is basically what you do with these kind of steels is you get one steel that will have a quicker and easier, I should be showing off like the actual girldm knife during this, not the prototypes. So let's rewind it. But here, so let me actually open the box. So this is actually the box that we designed for it. Remember the stuff about the Damascus. I'm gonna come back to it later. This is the girldm box. It is, mine is a little scuffed up because I've been playing with it, but you know, it's got cute little art. It is magnetic, so it's fun to play with. Anyway, you open it up and you actually get a nice, little knife sheath with it. You also get this foam protector. You can't carry it in the box. Please, if you're going to put it back in the box, dry the knife before it goes back in the box. Honestly, that's gonna be more for the sake of the box not getting moldy than your knife, and I will show you that in a second. But cool thing about this sheath actually is that we did a little cutout over here in which when you put it in, ta-da, you still see the heart. It's not perfect all the time, but mostly if we had it perfect all the time, then like some of the spines would stick out a little bit. So we figured it's a little better to have the knife actually more secure and have a little bit more room for error so that your knife is actually protected. That way, if you do want to put it in your drawer or your knife rack or whatever, it protects it and it protects the blade as well. With the 67 layers of Damascus, this particular patterning is done by putting different kinds of steel together, one that is more stainless and one that is less. And so when you push them together and twist them and fold them, and then you put them into acid or some kind of staining solution, then they will stain at different rates. How you get different patterns is dependent completely on how you fold those steels together. If you look carefully at how the heart patterns are shaped, and what we have them do in order to get this kind of pattern done is instead of just doing one billet together, what you can see we have the standard kind of like billeting, and you can see kind of the layers over here. That's just going to be the different steel stacked on top of each other. In between those layers, you would put rods. So I'm going to use knives for this, but instead of just having like everything stacked like this, right? What we do is we actually have rods that are stacked this way as well. and then more on top, and so on and so forth. And what that actually does is allow you to get these kind of patterns. And so this is actually a fairly simple, you would just do like bands of different steels wrapped around each other in a circle. But, oh God, too many knives. But on these patterns, what you end up doing is you get all of these small little billets of steel and all these thin little wraps together, and then you put them interlaced alongside your regular stack. After you get all the little ones together, then you have them drive a hammer down the middle in order to get the heart shape down here, as well as across the sides in order to get the little V of the heart here as well. And then you just do that with a lot of little ones. And the nice thing is, because of how these are cut, if you actually think about it from a 3D plane, this ends up actually becoming, you have the really, really long billet. So you only have to do that like not that many times, and then you cut from those in order to clad onto the VG10 core, which is the cutting core that the actual edge is made out of. One of the nicest things about how this kind of Damascus is made, and why it's really, really nice in these kind of knives that are meant for home kitchen use and kind of versatility, is they don't need to be cared for nearly as much as like a Japanese knife. So for instance, this is the standard NAKIRI. You can see that there is a lot of rust spots. There's some problems here. We have staining. I've actually managed to patina this at this point with the, I'll show you what ended up happening to this knife, but tons of rust spots, patina, staining, and this will end up causing pitting and actually damage to the knife and edge over time as you don't wipe it and clean it. And we all forget to clean things. That's normal. While I might be very, very fastidious about cleaning my knives and, you know, doing that sort of stuff because I am a knife nerd, I know that other people might not be. So what we really want to design for in these kind of knives is so that you don't have to worry about your knife. You don't have to like baby it all the time and go, oh God, I need to do this and do that, and then just like be really careful about how fragile it is. I'm personally not a huge fan of having to keep knives or anything that I use constantly babied all the time. I want to be able to use it and be able to go on with my life. I don't want to have to cut out a brand new hour of my life every time I use this thing that's supposed to help me, and it's instead slowing me down in life. If that is something that you enjoy in knife care and things like that, in which you want to get into knife sharpening and maintenance and restoration, things like that, that's great. That's a hobby, right? But this is a knife meant for cooking. We actually did a test in order to see how stainless this really is. So what we did was make a batch of all the leftovers and other random stuff that needed to be thrown away, put it in a bucket, and then we stuck the knives in to see what would happen. Left it for 9 hours, so overnight, presumably. So first of all, guys, don't leave knives in the sink. That's how you will accidentally grab a knife and then cut your fingers, so just don't do that. That being said, if you do end up leaving knives in the sink, we want to show that you don't have to be worried that at least the knife is going to be damaged. I'm worried about your fingers if you do that. So these are the 3 knives that actually came out of the test. And what you can see is that this knife has, we already have the surface staining and rusting. Oh, it smells really terrible. You could smell the rust when it came out as well. You can see that rust here. You can see the brown spots. You can see it's not in the best shape. Even the blackening over here is starting to degrade, and this is just from one night, right? One accidental thing. You do it 2 times, 3 times, you're gonna do a lot of damage to the knife. You know when you just accidentally leave your knives in your 5-gallon bucket of mayo? I know, it happens everyone. It happens all the time. Nothing you can do about it, so we designed for it, right? Accidentally leave it in the sink with your dishes, or leave it in the bucket of mayo, and we still have no staining whatsoever. We have nothing going on. What you will see, however, and I do want to point this out, is that this here, this marking is also etched on. So what that means is that you put it in too much acid, it will come off like this, that you can see. So that is the only part that will come off if you leave it in acid or in dishwater, anything like that too long. But otherwise, the rest of the knife, perfectly fine. It looks like it's brand new. Having this outside layer be clad in this very, very, very stainless steel means that we can actually utilize the best of both worlds to have a very, very good edge, have a very, very good knife, but still have all of those stainless properties that make it very easy to take care of. You don't need to baby it. Ooh, actually, let me go to the microscope here. So you can see tons of rust spots. That surface is not looking too hot. We're starting to see that's going to be eating into the steel. You can see that 3D kind of effect going on. That means the steel is turning into rust, which is iron oxide instead, which is when iron, which is part of steel, interacts with oxygen. Okay, I'm gonna get a little nerdy into this as we look at the other knives. Oh, that's pretty cool. Look at that. You can actually see where the less stained parts are forming on the heart pattern as well. No staining, no rust spots. That looks beautiful, like it was just made. Fun fact, this is actually the second time I've put this through that test. I mean, you shouldn't do that. Don't do that. Don't leave your knives in the sink. Please wash them and dry them properly. But if you mess up 1 or 2 times, or a couple times, it's fine. In terms of designing the girldm knife on how we want to represent the C-Tech handle as well, is we actually selected a special kind of C-Tech that has little bits of glow in them as well. They have little dots of lighter material that gets put into that. We decided to go with like a lighter color and lighter theme because it kind of gives it this sort of magical glow and magical energy to it. While C-Tech has that honeycomb design that's very tech focused, and it has this sort of blend between tech, AI, magical girl, which is, girldm's theme. The C-Tech handle was designed with that in mind. We were originally using this color and we were like going back and forth on multiple different colors. I think we have one more color set besides this that we tried, and that one was like a little bit too much towards the blue side. I would say there wasn't a specific reason why we decided on going for full Tang. I just think it looks nice on this particular knife. I think that just kind of keeps with this this kind of flow of the metal, especially with the honeycombs along the side. So the idea of Tangs is sort of a outside myth. I would say having a full Tang or a skeletonized Tang is very important if we're talking about outdoors knives. So knives that you need to baton through wood, knives that you need to do heavy duty kind of like chopping and like smashing through logs and make campfires with like that kind of survivalist sort of thing. Kitchen knives, I think I discussed already, you should not be slamming down on things. These are for cutting, not for slamming and chopping and all that kind of stuff. This is a thin blade. It's meant for cutting, not for smashing on things. Get a butcher knife for that. It is a nice Japanese NAKIRI made in Japan. It has a very thin little piece of metal in here. That's all that's needed to keep it in the wood. You don't need any more than that, because if you're hitting it hard enough that you are breaking the spine of the blade, honestly, you have other problems. You're probably using the wrong kind of knife for that. I mostly want to mention that because this Tang in particular was an aesthetic choice, not a utilitarian choice. And I do want to dispel that rumor that full Tangs are better in some way, shape, or form. Unless you want to die on the hill for some reason that Japanese knives are just like way worse than any other knife in existence because they have a smaller Tang. Look guys, it's not about the size, it's about how you use it. One of the things that girldm also requested was a little heart cutout over here. This usually goes onto butcher knives so that they can hang by the wall. One of the original designs I actually had like the ears on the knife itself. And then we did decide that was a little too impractical and could potentially, if you're doing 4-finger grip where you put your hand down, it could potentially cut you. So we're like, okay, well, let's do a cutout like this instead. Also, I guess that also means that you can hang the knife if you hang knives for some reason or the other. And so that's kind of the general design aesthetics and a lot of the ideas that went behind how we wanted to construct girldm's knife. We wanted to make it something special, something cute, something that really had her characteristics and her color, and you could very much tell was designed for her. One of the things I don't really want to be doing ever is to just see a random knife and go, yep, slap a name on it, we're good to go. Every knife and every single thing that we produce like this, I want to be truly custom. Everything from the materials, the shape, the balance, the use cases, everything that we do like this, kind of like Vite Ramen, right? Why we had to start our own facility and why we had to start everything was because we wanted everything to be the right way that we thought it should be done. And similarly for these knives and for a lot of the other things that we do and we're producing, other merchandise, other items, we want it to be designed in a way that really speaks to what the partner wants, to their lore, their character, their history. When you get the girldm NAKIRI, you can be confident that this knife was made custom. It was truly made in collaboration, in partnership, in the truest of senses of designing alongside the creator, not just slapping a logo on, really doing everything that we can to provide everything that is possible in our power. They're not easy to make. Trying to get something fully custom with all the design details and everything single thing, I'm pretty sure the factory is very, very sick of me constantly saying, no, we need to do it this way. We need to do it this way. Look, we're in that regard, we're a bit of a pain in the ass. I understand, but it's so incredibly important to us to be doing the right things, to be making things that are like actually cool, actually lasting, useful, and will be something that you can be using and will be in your life constantly for hopefully generations. I don't think there is another, well, I know there's not another knife like this in the world. Why I love doing these things so much, from building knives to designing flavors and all of these things that we have been doing with Vite, the fact that we can express and do storytelling through the design of this knife itself is hopefully something that you can tell that we have worked really hard on. To end this again, I have no idea how to end this. So I'm just gonna say that I'm gonna end this. We're gonna have a more fun video coming out as well. That's not quite as rambly, nerdy, and just, you know, the usual kind of stupid, funny videos that we do. But if you did enjoy this video and you did enjoy these kind of explanations, then let me know and I'll start doing more of them, I guess.